There's a task you've been postponing. It's not small. It matters. Maybe it's a work project. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's something that could change your future. You know it's important. And yet, instead of starting, you check your phone. You clean something. You watch one more video. You tell yourself you'll begin later. From the outside, this looks like laziness. But inside your brain, something else is happening. Your brain is not designed to prioritize importance. It is designed to prioritize safety and energy conservation. These are not the same thing. Important tasks often carry uncertainty. They have unclear outcomes. They expose you to possible failure, rejection, or discomfort. And your brain treats uncertainty as a potential threat. Not a dramatic threat, not danger in the physical sense, but unpredictability. And unpredictability requires energy. When you think about starting that important task, your brain begins simulating possible outcomes. What if it goes wrong? What if you're not good enough? What if it takes longer than expected? What if you fail? Each simulation consumes mental resources. Each imagined scenario adds cognitive load. Even before you begin, your brain feels the weight. So it searches for relief. Scrolling your phone provides certainty. Watching a video gives immediate structure. Cleaning something gives a clear beginning and end. These activities are predictable. They offer quick dopamine with minimal risk. Your brain prefers predictable rewards over uncertain long-term gains. This is not weakness. It is efficiency. From a neurological perspective, the brain constantly calculates effort versus reward. If the reward feels distant or unclear, and the effort feels emotionally heavy, the task gets categorized as high cost. And high-cost tasks are delayed. There's also something else happening: emotional resistance. Important tasks are rarely neutral. They carry identity. They connect to how you see yourself. If you start and struggle, it challenges your self-image. If you try and fail, it creates discomfort. Avoidance protects identity. When you delay, the possibility remains intact. The project is still potentially great. The idea is still unfinished genius. The conversation is still manageable someday. Avoidance keeps outcomes abstract, and abstract outcomes feel safer than concrete disappointment. Your brain prefers imagined success over real risk. But there is a hidden cost. Every avoided task becomes an open mental loop. It stays active in the background. Even when you're not consciously thinking about it, part of your attention is occupied. It drains energy quietly. This connects to hidden mental fatigue. You feel tired not because you work too hard, but because your brain is constantly monitoring unfinished responsibilities. It periodically reminds you. It replays the importance. It calculates consequences. And each reminder consumes cognitive resources. Avoidance doesn't remove the task. It multiplies its mental weight. There is also the role of dopamine. Dopamine is often misunderstood as the pleasure chemical. In reality, it's more about anticipation and prediction. Your brain releases dopamine when it expects a reward. But if the reward feels uncertain or too far in the future, dopamine response weakens. Important long-term goals often lack immediate feedback. The brain struggles to predict when the reward will come. Without clear prediction, motivation drops. On the other hand, small distractions provide immediate and reliable dopamine spikes. The brain quickly learns this pattern. It becomes efficient at choosing short-term stimulation over long-term effort. Again, this is not moral failure. It's biological optimization. So how do you work with this system instead of fighting it? First, reduce uncertainty. Important tasks feel overwhelming because they are vague. Finish the project is too abstract. The brain cannot clearly simulate the path. But open the document and write one paragraph is concrete. Define starting points reduce cognitive load. The brain resists ambiguity more than effort. Second, lower emotional weight. If a task feels like it defines your worth, resistance increases. Try reframing it as an experiment rather than a test. Experiments allow mistakes. Tests threaten identity. This subtle shift reduces perceived risk. Third, separate starting from finishing. Your brain often reacts to the imagined full effort required. It sees the entire mountain and calculates exhaustion in advance. But starting is neurologically different from completing. Once action begins, prediction updates. Uncertainty decreases. Dopamine can increase through progress signals. Momentum reduces threat perception. Another strategy is externalization. Write the task down. Break it into visible steps. When thoughts remain internal, they loop. When they become external objects on paper or screen, the brain no longer needs to rehearse them repeatedly. This frees working memory. And finally, understand the deeper truth. Avoidance is often a signal, not a flaw. It signals perceived risk, uncertainty, emotional exposure, or unclear reward prediction. When you interpret avoidance as laziness, you create frustration. Frustration increases stress. Stress increases avoidance. But when you interpret it as information, you gain leverage. You can ask, what exactly feels uncertain? What outcome am I afraid to simulate? What part of this task feels undefined? Clarity reduces fear. Over time, you may notice something interesting. The moment you clearly define the first step, resistance weakens. The task becomes smaller in your internal model. The brain updates its cost calculation, and energy returns. Important tasks will probably never feel as immediately rewarding as scrolling. Your brain evolved for survival in environments of immediate feedback, not long-term abstract goals. But awareness changes how you interact with that wiring. You are not fighting yourself. You are learning how your brain predicts, protects, and conserves energy. Avoidance is not proof that you don't care. Often, it is proof that the task matters. The more meaningful something is, the more emotional weight it carries, and the more carefully your brain approaches it. When you understand this, you stop asking, "Why am I so lazy?" Instead, you begin asking, "What is my brain trying to protect me from?" That question creates space. And in that space, starting becomes easier.